In a world painted with countless spiritual traditions, each offering its own path to enlightenment, how does Nichiren Buddhism view the rich tapestry of other religions and practices? The answer reveals a philosophy that honors diversity, while maintaining unwavering faith in the supreme wisdom of the Lotus Sutra. This perspective creates a unique bridge between exclusive devotion and universal respect, one that recognizes truth wherever it blooms while pointing toward what it considers the ultimate flowering of spiritual understanding. The foundation of Nichiren Buddhism's approach to other religions rests on a profound recognition of human diversity and the varied ways people seek meaning. Nichiren Daishonin himself acknowledged this reality when he wrote, "Although the capacity of people differs, they equally have the Buddha nature." This statement reveals a fundamental truth that underlies all spiritual seeking. Every person possesses the inherent potential for enlightenment, regardless of the path they initially choose to walk. This recognition doesn't lead to spiritual relativism, where all paths are considered equally effective. Instead, it creates what might be called respectful hierarchy, an understanding that while all sincere spiritual seeking deserves respect, some teachings and practices are more complete, more direct, and more powerful than others. The Lotus Sutra itself supports this view when it declares, "The Buddhas appear in the world for one great reason alone, to show living beings the Buddha wisdom and to enable them to enter the path." This suggests that while various teachings may serve as stepping stones, there exists an ultimate revelation that surpasses all others. The metaphor of skillful means, or hoben in Japanese, provides crucial insight into how Nichiren Buddhism views other religious traditions. The Lotus Sutra teaches that the Buddha employed various teachings and methods according to the capacity and circumstances of his listeners, much like a skilled physician prescribes different medicines for different ailments. Nichiren Daishonin embraced this concept, explaining that the Buddha preached the various sutras over a period of 50 years, and every one of these teachings was intended to prepare the way for the Lotus Sutra. This perspective allows Nichiren Buddhists to see other religions not as competitors or false teachings, but as preparatory stages in humanity's spiritual evolution. This doesn't mean that all religious practices are viewed as equally valid preparations for the Lotus Sutra. Nichiren Daishonin was particularly critical of certain Buddhist schools of his time that he felt had strayed from the Buddha's true intent. He wrote extensively against what he saw as the errors of the Nembutsu, Zen, and Shingon schools, not from a place of hatred, but from deep concern that people were being led away from the most direct path to enlightenment. His criticism was born of compassion, much like a parent who warns a child away from a dangerous path not out of cruelty but out of love. The practical expression of this theological position creates a unique form of interfaith engagement. Nichiren Buddhists are encouraged to participate in dialogue and cooperation with people of all faiths, recognizing shared values and common human concerns. The emphasis on universal values such as compassion, justice, and peace creates natural bridges between Nichiren Buddhism and other traditions. As the Lotus Sutra proclaims, all phenomena are marked by emptiness. They neither come into being nor cease to be. They are neither defiled nor pure, neither increasing nor decreasing. This understanding of fundamental interconnectedness naturally leads to respect for all beings and their spiritual journeys. Yet, this respect doesn't require abandoning the conviction that the Lotus Sutra represents the highest teaching. Nichiren Daishonin compared the relationship between the Lotus Sutra and other teachings to the relationship between the sun and stars. He wrote, "When the sun rises, the stars hide. When the Lotus Sutra is expounded, all other teachings become insignificant. The stars don't cease to exist when the sun rises, but their light becomes unnecessary in the presence of a greater illumination. Similarly, other religious teachings aren't false, but they become preliminary when viewed in the light of the Lotus Sutra's ultimate truth." This perspective creates what might be called evangelical humility, the combination of absolute confidence in one's own path with genuine respect for others, spiritual dignity. Nichiren Buddhists are encouraged to share their practice and understanding with others, but always with recognition that people must be ready to receive such teaching. The Lotus Sutra warns against forcing the teaching on those unprepared, saying, "Do not speak this sutra to people who are not seeking the way." This creates a natural respect for others, current spiritual choices, while maintaining openness to share something precious when the opportunity arises. The concept of the 10 worlds provides another lens through which Nichiren Buddhism views other religions and spiritual practices. This teaching explains that all beings possess 10 potential life conditions, from hell to Buddhahood, and that these states can be experienced in any moment. Other religious practices might help people access higher life conditions: the world of heaven through devotional practices, the world of learning through study, or the world of bodhisattva through service to others. However, only through the practice of the Lotus Sutra can one directly access and manifest the highest condition of Buddhahood. This framework allows Nichiren Buddhists to appreciate the genuine benefits that other religious practices can provide, while maintaining that these benefits, however real, represent incomplete manifestations of human potential. A Christian's experience of divine love, a Muslim's sense of surrender to Allah, or a Hindu's understanding of universal consciousness are all recognized as authentic encounters with profound spiritual truth. Yet from the Nichiren perspective, these experiences are like glimpses of a vast treasure that can be fully accessed only through the complete teaching of the Lotus Sutra. The historical context of Nichiren Daishonen's teachings adds another dimension to this understanding. He witnessed the proliferation of various Buddhist schools and the political manipulation of religious teachings. His criticism of other Buddhist sects was partly motivated by concern over their political entanglements and their movement away from what he saw as the Buddha's essential message. This historical awareness helps contemporary Nichiren Buddhists maintain a distinction between criticizing specific institutional expressions of religion and respecting the sincere spiritual seeking that motivates individuals within all traditions. Modern Nichiren Buddhist communities have developed sophisticated approaches to interfaith dialogue that honor both their convictions and their respect for others. They participate in joint social action projects, engage in theological dialogue, and support religious freedom for all people. This engagement is guided by the principle that true respect for others includes sharing what one believes to be most valuable, while also recognizing that people must freely choose their own spiritual path. The practice of chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo itself embodies this inclusive yet distinctive approach. The phrase means devotion to the mystic law of the Lotus Sutra, and Nichiren taught that this law is the fundamental principle underlying all existence. From this perspective, when Christians pray to God, Muslims submit to Allah, or Hindus seek unity with Brahman, they are actually connecting with this same mystic law, though perhaps less directly and completely than through the specific practice of Nichiren Buddhism. This understanding creates a profound sense of connection with all spiritual seekers, while maintaining the distinctiveness of the Nichiren path. It allows practitioners to see fellow travelers in every person of faith, while also holding on to the conviction that they have something unique and precious to offer. As Nichiren wrote, even a bad person will be saved by the Lotus Sutra, how much more a good person? This suggests that the power of the Lotus Sutra transcends moral and religious categories, offering hope to all people regardless of their current spiritual condition. The environmental crisis and social challenges of the contemporary world have created new contexts for this interfaith engagement. Nichiren Buddhists increasingly find themselves working alongside people of all faiths to address issues like climate change, poverty, and social justice. These collaborations are seen not as compromises of faith, but as expressions of the bodhisattva spirit that naturally flows from Lotus Sutra practice. The interconnectedness that the Lotus Sutra teaches manifests practically in recognition that the welfare of all beings is intimately connected. At the same time, this collaborative spirit doesn't diminish the evangelical aspect of Nichiren Buddhism. Practitioners are encouraged to share their experience of chanting and studying the Lotus Sutra with others, not from a desire to convert or control, but from genuine care for others, happiness, and spiritual development. This sharing is always done with respect for others, current beliefs, and with recognition that spiritual transformation is ultimately an individual choice that cannot be forced. The question of whether other religions can lead to enlightenment receives a nuanced answer within Nichiren Buddhism. While maintaining that the Lotus Sutra provides the most direct and complete path, there's recognition that sincere practice of any tradition can lead to positive transformation and even partial enlightenment. However, complete and perfect enlightenment, the full manifestation of one's Buddha nature, is seen as possible only through the complete teaching of the Lotus Sutra. This creates what might be called a generous orthodoxy, generous in its recognition of truth and value in other traditions, orthodox in its conviction about the ultimate superiority of the Lotus Sutra. It's a position that avoids both rigid fundamentalism and vague relativism, instead offering a path that is both confident and humble, both distinctive and inclusive. As our world becomes increasingly interconnected and religiously diverse, the Nichiren Buddhist approach to other faiths offers valuable insights for all people, seeking to maintain strong spiritual convictions while living peacefully with those who believe differently. It demonstrates that one can hold firmly to one's own path while respecting others' journeys, that one can believe in ultimate truth while acknowledging partial truths in other teachings, and that one can be evangelistic while remaining humble and respectful. The ultimate vision is of a world where religious diversity is celebrated as a reflection of human richness, where sincere spiritual seeking is honored wherever it's found, and where the deepest truths of existence are shared freely and received gratefully. In such a world, the Lotus Sutra serves not as a weapon against other faiths, but as a gift offered to all humanity, a gift that honors what is already beautiful in other traditions while pointing towards something even more magnificent. This is the bridge that Nichiren Buddhism seeks to build, spanning the waters that separate different spiritual shores while pointing toward the ultimate homeland of enlightenment that awaits all beings.